England versus Sweden for the consolation game of the 2019 Women's World Cup. And this is always kind of a brutal game, right? Both teams wish that they were in the championship. It's kind of hard to get up for that game, and that seemed to be the case for England. They started off very slow, almost lethargic, as if, they're still thinking about their World Cup dreams. They're still thinking about trying to make it to the finals, and I could see how it's hard to get up for this game. You've got to stay late, you've got to still do the press, you've still got to work out, and you're just going for a third place game. But all the same, it should be something to cherish later in life. A third place game is nothing to lift your nose at. But they started off slow. Sweden's game plan was to attack the ball and close down spaces as fast as possible, and they came out hard. In the 11th minute, the very first goal for Sweden came from Eslani. Now, the ball was crossed in from the left side. Greenwood had the ball, and she cleared it very light. It was almost an assist. Eslani got the ball, ripped it in the back of the net. 1-0, kind of tore England's heart out real fast. And then Sweden followed that up in the 21st minute with another goal. Now, this was Jakobsen. She had the ball on the left side in the middle of the field, played it down towards the corner, a give-go pass where she continued to follow the run inside the box. Received the ball, cut inside to the right, and did a little inside of a right foot curl on the far post. 2-0. Now, at that point, England had kind of already, they'd started off slow, but it was like that moment, going 2-0 down, did spark them, which was nice to see. Because they started off kind of with sloppy passes, they seemed just a little off. But with Sweden completely overcommitting to shutting down space, England was able to exploit that right after the fact. They were able to find the space in the front. In the 31st minute, Kirby, she received the ball down the line. She cut in to left. She cut back with her left foot and then hit that left foot kind of curl, pretty much the opposite of the last goal by Jakobsen. Left foot curled the inside of the far post. Great goal. 2-1. England then took over the momentum as far as attacking. At that point, Sweden did have the majority of possession. Sweden did have the majority of control of the game. After that goal hit, it was like a light switch went on for England. They started attacking hard. So then, the 31st minute they scored, it was 2-1. Sweden was winning, but in the 33rd minute, just 2 minutes after England's first goal, they scored. So they had a ball on the outside left of the field. It was crossed in to White. She chest trapped it and then took on the defender towards the near post, and she shot the ball and it went in. It was a goal. VAR took a look at this. Now, they were disputing whether it was a handball. I personally wasn't convinced that this should have been a handball. But, and the goal being called back, yes, I get it. She chest trapped it perfect, bounced up, then turned her body to the right. And yes, maybe there was a little momentum, but I personally didn't see enough to know that you would pull the 2-2 game back down to a 2-1. And ultimately, that's where the game ended. So at the first half, it ended 2-1, and that's where the game ended. Now, in the first half, Sweden was controlling the majority of the possession. But by the end of the game, England controlled the rest of the game. They had 62% versus Sweden's 38% of possession. And at the end of the game, England did have the most opportunities, especially in the second half. But the way they came out, Sweden was just sitting back and trying to absorb pressure. And to be fair, England was doing a good job of creating opportunities in that second half and getting a lot of shots off. England ended the game with 14 shots, 4 of them were on target, but still 14 shots versus Sweden's 8 shots. But to be fair, Sweden had 8 shots with 7 on target. That's a very high percentages of good shots on goal. Over that, for the most part, you could really see that they were sitting back, but England was doing a good job. They did look, everyone started to look a little bit more tired in the second half. They even had a couple great opportunities that would go in. There was a couple an offsides run by Taylor, But there were good opportunities, and right at the 89th minute, when you thought, literally, it just felt like I thought England was going to score. Personally, I believed that they were going to finish this game, at least finish the regulation 2-2 and then go on to overtime. And it seemed to be all setting up. So you had Greenwood, who had a corner. They hit it out. The goalie hit it to the top of the 18. England gets the ball, rips it. Nice little volley, but the Swedish defender headed it out. I mean, her neck snapped back like she was shot, but she saved the goal. She saved the game. And that's where it ended. And at the end of the game, during the commentary, English coach Phil Neville, he literally stated something that kind of explained to me why I feel like England started so slow. And maybe it was just bad timing. Maybe it was just salt from losing, a little bit of saltiness. But he said that this game was a nonsense game. The third place games are nonsense. And unfortunately, if he had that energy before the game, that may have been how his players went into the game with it. I don't know for sure. It may just be that he was angry he lost and he just said this is a nonsense game. A lot of us do that. You get frustrated at the end of a moment, something that you thought was going to go better. When it doesn't, you're just kind of like, screw everything. And maybe that's why he said it, but it wasn't a good look to say this is a nonsense game. Even though I think most people who've played in tournaments feel like that third, fourth place consolation game, it is a little iffy. It's like sometimes you wish they didn't even have it. But because of that, Sweden does get a bronze medal. And that is important. So, sorry for England. I thought you guys had a lot of opportunities, especially in the second half. I feel like if you wouldn't have started so flat, and if England didn't come at you so hard at the beginning, for the most part, if you were watching anything other than the first 20-25 minutes, you would have thought England was the better team. But Sweden was able to capitalize on those opportunities. England didn't have the luck. A lot of the calls came back, to be fair. So they didn't have their luck on their side. But tomorrow, United States of America versus Netherlands, and we'll see who the World Cup champion is.